Thank you very much, guys. And it is, of course, very important to know that H2K was playing with a certain stress on their shoulders, which may have led to a couple of mistakes they made in this game, because this turned into a very, very long game, almost the inverse of Scar's quote, up until they're winning, they're losing for Giants at one point, because they were in control. But before that, they were completely out of control in the early game.
Yeah, a very expected start, I feel like, to the game where H2K were outplaying them on the map multiple times, even getting a few catches here and there, and we were kind of questioning a lot of Giants' decision with the siege comp they were running, because it is a good siege comp, but it's hard to execute when you have zero front line and like Janna's you only disengage.
Yeah, they learned throughout the game though to not use the Janna actually as an engage, like a failed winsec attempt there in the mid lane by Godfred.
Don't do that, guys.
Yeah, you need to use your flash to actually get behind the target if you want to attempt that. So Giants were learning during the game. But also, I feel like H2K gave them the room to go for these silly plays where sometimes Giants was over-chasing through lanes for absolute ages. And while we can fault Giants for not making the right plays, H2K wasn't proactive at all either. They were just waiting to be handed the game. And that felt like a different H2K.
Yeah, so again, that's the strange thing, because they're early to mid-game, and we were just talking about, you know, H2K being the better macro team. Like, the first replay we even have is actually Giants showing to us how they will struggle to play this composition. You're playing a siege comp and you've gotten into mid-game. Your Corki top lane here, he needs to have backup. Like, I know there's a fight going on the screen, but this fight is actually not the right call from Giants. You want to group on towers at this point. You don't want to chase the enemy tank around, because you now give time for H2K to move in and defend Odamne and stop you from ever pushing on towers.
Yeah, Giants just need flexibility in decision making right here. That initial gank, it can be excused. Once they blow the flash, fine. Once they get the knowledge ult, they back off. But they keep chasing on blind with your core team base, the map being empty. Obviously, eventually Vander is going to walk in here and turn that play around, but Giants, they seem very committed to one play, seemingly later in the game too, when they get Baron. They just go mid over and over and over. They don't take into account that their side lanes are being pushed in. They stay there for like 30 seconds, a minute and a half, and then they figure out, hey, maybe we should change what we're doing.
It's just such a big problem for me when this comp was very clearly drafted as a poke comp, so you would assume they've been practicing this comp quite a lot coming into the week. First pick in the Corki, you get to your mid-game point, you've now survived somewhat the early game and you're ready to group in siege, and you start putting Corki in side lane, which is okay if you then move support and jungle to that side lane and you push in on the tower, because that's where he's strongest. You decide to gank the opposite lane and like chase for a kill on the enemy tank. It's just showing complete misunderstanding of how to use your comp where it was supposed to become strong. And that's why H2K were so far ahead up until that Baron, obviously.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Baron, because Giants do manage to get it. But in the end, what you guys have been saying, no control of the side waves means that when and if they get this, they have nowhere to go but mid, or their first instinct is to go mid.
Yeah, well, we have to say this replay starts on the right frame here. Pepe with a beautiful sidestep, and he completely baits out Odoamne. And at this point, H2K in a bit of a disarray. 2 members left, 3 members right. Odoamne no longer tanking the Baron.
This is a big issue, though, for one of the best teams in Europe, because it's not been the first time we see H2K struggle around Baron. Multiple times I feel like they're setting up wrong fights. Odoamne here is the guy who's supposed to tank the Baron. But he was the guy standing outside the pit trying to catch like Pepe and catch someone. That meant everyone else behind him got poked down by Baron itself. And Giants were, just because of Pepe's nice sidestep, managed to avoid the fight and then just poke them, kill them, take the Baron. These kind of mistakes, when we start moving towards playoffs and international tournaments for H2K, oh, that's instant game loss, like right there.
We're obviously being harsh here. This is
one of the best teams in Europe.
We're nitpicking one of the best teams in Europe. Obviously, the context allows for some excuses, but we have to point out the errors. Also, later in the game, when Giants was sieging, H2K had issues finding the correct flank, because against this composition with Nautilus, with Lee Sin, their goal is obviously to either get a kick in from behind, get the TP in, and then sync the engage with Ryu going in from like a pincer movement from both sides, and they just weren't quite getting there. Obviously, hopefully, in the coming weeks, H2K can pick that back up, because that is something they can do, identify problems and fix them in a very, very short time frame. That is one of the strengths of Prawley as a coach.
It is. For Giants, maybe to wrap up the game, let's take a look at where they ended up giving the game out of their hands again. Because they did play well in that window of about 15 minutes. Adam had some good moves. They did control the waves a little bit, but then it was all over.
Right here, as long as you avoid getting engaged on, you win the game. Because Odoamne has used his teleport, and Adam is already pushing in the enemy base.
Yeah.
But then H2K jumps over the wall, and Giants gets caught out, and the fight starts.
Yeah.
Get one kill, then you can start recalling now and not lose the Baron at the same time.
Look at your minimap. Forgiven's gonna start basing there. Imagine if there was some vision and a rocket would cancel him right here, and then Atom would probably take 2 Nexus towers, and this is such a close ending
Yeah.
to a very, very interesting game overall. Totally unexpected overall from Giants of all teams going up against H2K.
Once they finally got that Baron buff and got to group, we saw some good moves. Right here, though, again, it's where some of the bottom teams, they panic a little bit. And it's basically like literally just run away. Just run away, and then when they start recalling, full recall timer, you run back in, and you start poking them, and you just do like in and out, and Adam wins the game. But instead, they get caught out, and then fight happens.
Yeah, for both of these teams, the week that the other teams are in Katowice will maybe very welcome to get everything in order and see what has to happen to move forward. Coming up next, the Unicorns of Love will go up against Splice as they chase a berth in the spring playoffs. Stay right there because we will be right back.
I'm disappointed. Do you think someone said "aww"? No one says "aww" except you.
He has the highest per second of the whole LCS.
Top lane, Atom's in trouble.
Jankos goes full Chuck Norris and kicks Atom at the roundhouse.
Graves. I got this.
Baron did not reset. In actual fact, it's going very, very low. H2K decide to re-engage. Baron's picked up by Giants.
Man, no blinders. Kill him. Nice. I heal you, Pepe. Kill the notes. No. Too much on fight now. I will take Corki.
Kick to me. Forgiven goes uncontested and continues to prove why he's one of the best AD carries in Europe.